Hello, my name is Bob Nelms, and I'm going to talk about how Failsafe-Network can help you ingrain an introspective mindset within your organization in this brief video. I hope that you have either attended our classes in the past or have viewed our vlogs or our other videos on our website so that you know this model of failure already. But just as a reminder, let me briefly go through this. You need to know this before we continue. The basic LCA model of failure is that we start with something that goes wrong. Something happened. It doesn't have to be big. In fact, we prefer that it's small. But some event goes wrong, like the event on the right. What we'll do after that is we'll gather a lot of evidence. And I'm not going to talk right now about evidence gathering. That's the subject of another video. But from the evidence, after we gather it, the right people get together and answer the question, how did this event occur? What were the physics of this event? And then once everybody agrees on the physics, based on the evidence, of course, then the right people answer, who did what wrong that allowed or enabled the physics? And the answer to that question is always done by self-identification, because nobody is allowed to blame in this LCA process. Instead, everybody is required to look at themselves. And then once everybody self-identifies what they did that allowed or enabled the physics, then each person goes through a revelation of what they were actually thinking at the time they did whatever they did, their actual thoughts. And then everybody agrees on what they should have been thinking that would have avoided this particular behavior. And once we know the actual versus the desired, the organization, or the people involved, I should say, can step back and ask, what is it about the way we are? What is it about the way we are that influenced these thoughts, or that allowed or enabled these thoughts? And the word we is good, but it is not good enough. Now every individual involved asks, what is it about the way I am that is part of the above? Note those last two questions, because that's what I'm really going to hone in on in the rest of this video. What is it about the way we are? What is it about the way I am that contributes to the problems around me? Now, if we go through this model over and over and over again, every time something goes wrong, you're going to connect the dots. Whoever does this, if it's one person or 10 people or 100 people or 1,000-person organization, whoever it is that's doing this are going to come to a realization. And the realization is this: there's something about the way we are that causes problems. If an organization has problems, there's something about the way you are that's causing them. If a society is having problems, there's something about the way we are that's causing them. This is indisputable. But the word we is important because we implies, just like the photograph, many individual people. So although we is good, I is much better. So it's important that everyone in this photograph, or every one of us, realizes there's something about the way I am that causes problems. This is true for everyone, everywhere, at all levels of an organization, from the CEO down to whatever level. Let me say this a little bit differently. The reality of things that go wrong is this: if something goes wrong, either big or little, we'll be able to trace its causes back to certain particular individuals, and that is always going to be true. The individuals inside of these circles, for example, caused one event. Now let's say something else goes wrong, and we do an analysis, and now we find these individuals caused that event. Again, we're going to be able to trace it back to individuals. And then another event occurs, and then another event occurs. Can you see what eventually will happen? Eventually, everyone in the organization will be implicated. It's all of us. So the point I'm trying to make is this. We have a choice, or I should say you have a choice. You can either wait for a catastrophe to occur in order to answer these questions. What is it about the way we are, and what is it about the way I am that contributed to this catastrophe? But why would you want to do that? Why would you want to wait for a catastrophe to occur? But you could. You could either wait for the big thing that goes wrong to answer this, or you can be smarter. You can be more proactive. And you can do this. Each of us can be introspective about ourselves before a catastrophe and answer, what is it about the way I am that contributes to the problems in my life, by looking at small problems when they pop up in my life. Now, I don't know about you, but the choice is kind of obvious. Don't we want to learn about ourselves before a disaster, rather than waiting for a disaster to learn about ourselves? So the ultimate purpose of a latent cause analysis effort is absolutely not to wait for a big event to occur so that we can investigate it. The ultimate purpose of a latent cause analysis effort is to help everyone in an organization learn about themselves from the smaller problems in their lives so that big problems do not occur. So let me say it another way. This is not something that only 20, 40, or 60 people in an organization ought to be doing. This is something that everyone ought to be doing. How? How can you get everyone in your organization looking at themselves before an event occurs so that you can avoid the big events? Well, we have a plan. We know how to help you do this. It's taken 30 years to perfect this plan. And of course, I'm going to share it with you. The first part of our plan is this. Get us to come on site, at your site, for some critical mass training. We consider this critical mass training to be absolutely essential. We call this training the Latent Cause Experience. It is a 4-day experience where we take a cross-section of your organization, anywhere from 12 to 45 people, and we put them through 4 days of intensive training. And I'm telling you, every one of the people that go through that class will walk out that door changed. Some people phenomenally, some people just a little bit. But you cannot go through this training without having changed the way you see yourself and other people. The purpose of this training, of this critical mass training, is to expose a cross-sectional, critical mass of people to the purpose, methods, and experience of latent cause analysis. It's also to find champions who will later act as advocates, champions or drivers, of the process in the future. We consider a critical mass to be 10 to 20% of your total workforce. The takeaways from going through this class: attendees will desire to look at themselves instead of blaming other people. A lot of people say this is the most formational part of their industrial training, is having gone through this class. Attendees will be taught a specific investigative method that can be used for all types or kinds of problems, both at home or at work. And your culture will start migrating towards personal accountability and away from blame. The average invoice for having us come on site to do this 4-day training session in the United States is $25,000 for up to 30 attendees. Now, what about everybody else? I mean, if you have a 1,000-person organization and you put 20% of them through this class, that's 200 people. What about the other 800 people? Well, let's talk about that. We also think this is essential. We have a pre-recorded webcast that we have developed for the masses. This webcast will go over the purpose and methods of latent cause analysis. The webcast was designed for one or more people's viewing at a time. Quizzes occurred during the webcast to help assure understanding. The webcast is approximately 1 hour in duration, and of course people can view it whenever they wish. The purpose of this webcast is to spread the purpose, the intent, the methods, and the vocabulary used with latent cause analysis in a cost-effective and rapid manner. And the cost of this is cheap. For our pre-recorded webinar, we charge a one-time fee of $950 for your organization to access this pre-recorded webinar. If your organization has multiple sites and multiple facilities, or is worldwide, that fee will probably go up. We also have supplemental options to help get everyone looking at themselves as part of their problems. Let me go over 2 supplemental options. We do also have live webinars for the masses, where we actually teach the masses how to do a latent cause analysis on a small problem. Any number can attend each session. Each session should have a proctor or monitor that has been through the 4-day class. These live webinars are approximately 3.5 hours in duration, and they can be scheduled at your convenience. The purpose of the webinars is to expose the masses to the purpose and methods of a latent cause analysis, again, in a cost-effective and timely manner. But the main purpose is to teach attendees how to do a real LCA on a small problem. The cost of the live webinar, $450 per connection, not per attendee now, but per connection, per webinar. Finally, a supplemental service is what we call our Practicum Services. This is where 2 of us will come on site to your site for 5 days. We'd ask you to pick 5 people. We'd also ask you to pick 5 problems, either unsolved or previously investigated. We will work with each of these people to do an LCA on each of the problems. We might finish some of the LCAs. Other LCAs we might not finish, but we'll take a good step forward on them. And we'll report back to management on the 5th day. Takeaways? 5 people will get hands-on experience in doing LCAs, coached by us. You will either resolve 5 real problems or take a big step towards their resolution. If you choose previously investigated problems, you will see the difference an LCA could make. We have heard this time and time again, where people have looked back on things they have already investigated and were aghast at what they've missed. And the 5 people will be advocate ready. The fee for this service, remember now, 2 of us come on site for a week, is going to be $15,000 in the United States plus travel expenses. And I hope you realize how little that is. This service pays for itself. So, in summary, how to get everyone looking at themselves. We have essential on-site training. That's that critical mass training. We have essential pre-recorded webinars, an hour or so. They're really webcasts. We have supplemental live webinars, 3.5 hours in duration, to teach you how to do a real LCA on a small problem. And we'll come on site with our Practicum Services. If you have any questions about any of these, or if you would like to talk to us about doing this, helping you with this, please get in touch at info@failsafe-network.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much. Have a good day.